It's lore time! I'm gonna be trapped here for so long, please send help.
Once again, we meet to exchange valuable tangibles. Isn't this fun? Now, what can we do for you today?
It's gonna be so fun. I have some items.
Like to sell, Captain?
Rainbow World location.
Your ship's log indicates that you discovered the whereabouts of one of the rainbow worlds which so fascinate us. In exchange, we will give you 500 credits. What would you like to sell, Captain?
Reminder that there's 10 Rainbow Worlds. You find all those, 5,000 credits will take care of all of your purchasing needs.
The 899 units of biological data we downloaded from your ship earn you 1,798 credits.
Well, it's not goodbye, it's purchase time.
What trade items would you like to buy today?
Information, please.
Good. I wish to sell information.
I didn't match with the subtitle even remotely. Not a single one of those words. Useful data on alien races. Let's begin from the top.
The Zotfotpec are a friendly co-op of 3 alien species, all native to the same world. They are presently suffering severe collateral damage from the ritual combat between the Ur-Quan and the Core R. While this is unfortunate for the Zotfotpec, they have been forced to abandon many of their worlds. This close proximity to the inter-Ur-Quan war will give them insights into the conflict, which will be of great use to you. In addition, the Zotfotpec met the Chenjezu early on in the war and are eager to make allies who can protect them from their enemies. In case you are interested, the Zotfotpec homeworld is at coordinates 400.0 by 543.7, Planet 1.
You can understand how that's the first item provided in useful data on alien races, and I agree. That is useful data. Currently, they're being blasted by the Korra. And if we don't get there in time, they'll be gone forever. Let's continue here.
The Ulra are presently attacking the Pekank in the Lasil and Kruger constellations. These beings have slavish devotion to their dark gods, Dogar and Kazon, which in the past few years has been used against them by the Umgar. If you need to manipulate the Ulra, we suggest you discover the Umgar's technique and duplicate it.
Multiple times we have been informed that the Ilrath can be bamboozled. Hit me again.
The Pekank are a mystical offshoot of the Yehat species, who left their bird brothers long ago to found a peaceful enclave in the Kruger and Jaiklus stars. At the present time, the Pekank are defending themselves against...
Hold on, pronounce that again?
In the Kruger and Jaiklus stars.
Jaiklus, okay.
At the present time, the Pekank are defending themselves against the Ulrath, who have been commanded to attack the Happy Birds by Dogar and Kazon. The Pekank may be unwilling to make a formal alliance with you, but we have confidence that if you explain yourself honestly, they will help your efforts against the Ur-Quan.
An alternate route this revisit could have taken would have been to me beating the hell out of the Pekank. And true to Pekank form, no matter how many times you blow up their furies, which you might be shooting down one ship, you might be shooting down one ship 6 times, given how the coin flip resurrect chance works. It's not as fun as you might think. No matter how many times you destroy their vessels, they're always willing to accept an apology, and the dialogue there can be wonderful and humorous and full of so much love. And you show up at the homeworld and apologize, you will get that clear spindle you require to beat the game.
The creatures presently fighting the Ur-Quan are called the Core R. They are an Ur-Quan subspecies that split off from the main species many thousands of years ago. Their present fight is a ritual reenactment of a major difference of opinion between rival Ur-Quan leaders after the Ur-Quan overwhelmed their slave masters, the Denari. The Core are immune to reason, having long ago lost the ability to see their situation objectively. They live in a self-maintained paradox. To ensure their safety and security, the Core fight an endless battle against all other sentient species.
Keep in mind the identities of everyone giving us information. You know, when we intone the words unto the Kazurza and the Korah, and they deliver their replies, when we ask any of the alien races for information, including the Melnorme, what could be shading that? We've got a fairly great grasp on how the Melnorme operate, though their actionable information has been very actionable thus far in this revisit.
I must warn you about some very bad people. Is this worth so many credits, you ask yourself? I assure you, it is. The creatures are called the Druge, and they are a callous and evil race. They care for nothing but profit and personal gain through unfair mercantile exchanges. Why are you looking at me like that, Captain? It is not appropriate. As I was saying, these wicked creatures will try to sell you commodities at unreasonably low prices. Boy, they're almost giveaway fuel. Do not fall for their tricks. There are hidden costs, secret tariffs. So that you may avoid them, I will tell you that their main trade world is Zeta Persei 1. Why are you smiling, Captain?
Yep, that's gonna help us avoid them. Noted. We've heard about the Druge previously, with information we bought about current events. Again,
the Bervixes race evolved on the planet Arcturus 1. They lived there in a relatively benevolent manner until the Core R came and destroyed them during the course of 2 or 3 unfortunate days. The Druge were largely responsible for the Core R's finding the Bervixes. You see, the Bervixes were in long-range hyperwave contact with a race simply known as the GIF. For decades, the GIF and the Bervixes traded much valuable information until the GIF came under attack by an invading race who you may know as the Core R. The GIF warned the Bervixes that the Core R located races by their hyperwave transmissions, and that they had already discovered the radiations from the Druge. When the Bervixes were kind enough to warn the Druge that a hostile alien race was homing in on their hyperwave radiations, the Druge shut down all their transmitters and erected a powerful hyperwave beacon on the surface of the Bervixes' moon. The Core R changed course, attacked the 4 Bervixes, and sadly destroyed them all.
2025 Grimith looks at that situation as described by the Melnorme and says, yeah, the Druge did what they thought they needed to do to survive. Shut down everything and implant something more juicy, more enticing on someone else. The Druge can be evil for many other reasons, but that? Nah. That's dragon alignment right there. Morality, dragon. Survival, baby. Go again.
The Thrudash are an arrogant, stubborn, and thick-skinned species who reside in the Draconis and Apodus star systems. They have little or no respect for anything but force, which they admire greatly. To make the Thrudash your friends, you should consider killing most, but not all of them. In addition, they guard some kind of sacred relic at the star system Zeta Draconis, though we do not know the true nature of this artifact. The Thrudash homeworld is at Delta Draconis.
Yes, indeed. More
After the war, the Chenjezu and the Murmahum chose to be slave-shielded on the Chenjezu's homeworld at Procyon. We suspect that they are melding their two species to form some kind of new hybrid race. A race which may well be powerful enough to destroy the Ur-Quan single-handedly. However, by our calculations, this process will take many decades, if not centuries. Should you wish to talk to them, we recommend you invest in a hyperwave broadcasting system which is powerful enough to penetrate the shield around their world. Incidentally, should you acquire such a device, feel free to use it anywhere in hyperspace, and we will be sure to respond promptly.
Not the first time we have been informed about the power of a hyperwave caster, its ability to hail a Melnorme. We have not been to Procyon to attempt to visit the Chenjesu, but it is worth noting that the Melnorme here say, if you want to talk to them, you're gonna need a hyperwave caster to penetrate the slave shield. Also worth noting, they're the only ones you can do that with. They're like, oh cool, I got myself a hyperwave caster. I could go talk to everyone. No. Just the Chenjesu. Maybe it's something special about the Chenjesu and beats me. Or perhaps they've weakened or softened their slave shield in such a way if anyone could bust through that thing after the Ur-Quan went away, it would be them. Let's go. Another round.
The Mycon are using this time while the Ur-Quan have their attention elsewhere to expand their sphere of influence as fast as possible. The Mycon colonize planets by launching tough spore pods from orbit and injecting them under the planet's surface. Months later, after the spores have grown hundreds of thick, fibrous tendrils under the planet's crust, the tendrils suddenly thrust up out of the planet and create huge calderas, not incidentally filling the planet's atmosphere with the Mycon's preferred gases, clouds of superheated steam and sulfuric acid.
The Mycon terraform worlds so that they may reside upon them. The terraforming process sounds incredibly lethal to anything else living upon the planet. Yeah. And the Ahot gave us some information involving the Mycon. We'll be checking up on that later in this revisit. Go another round, Master Trader.
Following the end of the war, the Androsynth began experimenting with interdimensional fatigue, a process which is related to your faster-than-light drive, but involves dimensions far more alien than hyperspace. They had just made a major breakthrough when they were suddenly wiped out by a race called the Ors, who appeared seemingly out of nowhere. Actually, we don't know what the Ors did to the Androsynth. They're just all gone.
And maybe the Melnorme have kept it that way. They don't know too much. Even more, Master Trader.
The Arilulale are a mysterious race of IDF beings, IDF meaning interdimensional fatigue, who do not reside in this galaxy or, in fact, anywhere in this universe. While it is true that the Arilu are rarely seen far from the Columbae star group, they do make regular, secret visits to your world, and have done so for centuries. Ever since Earth was slave-shielded, they have focused their attention on the humans aboard the starbase, many of whom are now members of your crew. Though the Arilulale always smile, and are never overtly hostile, we believe that they have a secret agenda which somehow involves your planet, Earth. These secret plans may or may not cause grief and woe to you Earthlings.
Some of my viewers are looking at their screens right now going, no shit, Master Trader. Others of you, this is not helping your deep concerns involving the Arilulale. Don't get distracted, though, from the Melnorme saying, hey, you know, the Columbae Star Group, as a way for you to go in that direction, get into some Aralu encounters, and they very well direct you to the naturally occurring portal there. You may pop in and say hi to others. Go another round.
Just under 20 years ago, the brave and suicidal Shafixti annihilated their species by exploding a precursor device, some kind of bomb, in the interior of their sun. The resulting storm of solar flares cooked the life off the Shafixti homeworld and incinerated over 100 Ur-Quan dreadnoughts, which had just entered the system to conquer the Shafixti. In actuality, there are still at least a dozen Shafixti left alive in the galaxy. 1 or 2 are at Delta Gorno, guarding the dead hulk of their once beautiful world. Others can be found in Book's space.
Let's not inform the master trader that his information is no longer entirely accurate. Indeed, that was the first current event item we purchased. Yeah. Over 100 Ur-Quan dreadnoughts. You gotta imagine, that's probably not helping the Kazurza in their doctrinal war. Not to mention all the other difficulties they had defeating the Alliance of Free Stars. Perhaps that's why they had to crack out the Sumatra. I didn't say that. I said nothing. Don't worry about it. I mean, yeah. Something like that was definitely mentioned earlier in this revisit. It's fine. You know, it's definitely, yeah, don't worry about it. Starbase Commander Hayes didn't say anything. It's cool. It's great. Just gonna move on. Hit me again.
The Slylandro are a mostly non-solid, sentient race who live in a gas giant at Beta Corby. We recently sold them a self-replicating exploration probe, which has somehow turned hostile and attacks everything it detects. If such encounters have angered you, Captain, please do not address your concerns to us. We possess a formal waiver of damages authorized by a Slylandro speaker, and are in no way responsible for the situation.
Uh-huh. I meant to press enter there instead of shift. Let's go.
The cowardly Spathi live at the single planet orbiting Epsilon Gruis. They do not actually live on their world, rather they reside on its solitary moon. The reason? A xenomorphic species which craves the sweet-flavored flesh of the Spathi has been transported to the surface of their planet, and makes every attempt to devour the poor Spathi. I am certain that the Spathi would be forever in your debt if you were to eliminate these creatures from their planet. What? You fear that alien creatures will find you a treat also? Fear not. Our data reveals the beasts are not interested in your species. Should you wish to consult with the Spathi ruling council, you will need to know the secret Spathi cipher, a password, which is Huffy Muffy Guffy.
There. If you didn't encounter Whiffo or didn't get the cipher from Whiffo, there's another way for you to do that. A process. I was combining multiple trains of thought there. The Unga, wanted to bring that up. Definitely, probably, possibly not responsible for putting the evil ones on the surface of Spathiwa. Let's proceed.
Like you Earthlings, when the war with the Ur-Quan was lost, the Cyrene chose to be slave-shielded. Their new world is at Betelgeuse. The Cyrene's starbase is crewed by the starship commanders and crew who were decommissioned at the end of the war. Though the Cyrene hate the Ur-Quan with a vengeance, they are unlikely to offer you assistance, unless you reveal to them the truth behind the tragedy of their original homeworld, Syrah, which was destroyed by the birth of a Mycon Deep Child a century ago.
This, by the way, could easily have gone in current events. This is a fucking nuclear warhead just detonated in the captain's brain. If you go to the Cyrene, like, hey, you want an ally? They'll go, no! No, we don't want an ally. And Melnor may say, yeah, they don't want an ally. But what if you manipulate them by telling them the truth? And you're like, what? What's the truth? Their original homeworld was destroyed by the Mycon. Oh! Okay, Master Trader. That's a lot to take in. Yeah. Yeah, that's the kind of information that keeps you coming back, yeah? Like some of this other stuff, like, okay, yeah, we already know that. It's not really actionable. What'd you say? Go again.
When the Ur-Quan entered Gamma Serpentis, the home star of the Yihat Queen suddenly switched allegiance to the Ur-Quan hierarchy, converting the Yihat, by royal fiat, into Ur-Quan combat thralls. This act was viewed by most Yihat starship officers as ultimately dishonorable, the desperate act of a corrupt regent to maintain her throne. The Yihat shame was greatly magnified by the Shafixti's show of courage when they destroyed their own star system to slow down the Ur-Quan armada. Captain, you have heard all that we have to say about aliens indigenous to this region. Should we learn more in the near future, we shall be certain to sell it to you.
Hooray! Yep, that's everything about current races. The Yihat are at the end. Notable there that how the Ur-Quan decide to fallow slave or battle thrall any particular alien race, species, what have you, varies depending upon the alien race species. Humans, they gotta vote. Direct democracy. Spathies, 2 crystals handed to the high ones. The Unga bamboozled one. Yihat, their queen said, that's it, we're pro-Ur-Quan now. Combat thralls, let's go. Ur-Quan said, all right, you're battle thralls now, let's get it. Time for some historical information.
Almost 25,000 of your years ago, there existed near this region of space an association of star-faring races called the Sentient Milieu. This group formed over several thousand years to enrich mutually their respective cultures, to provide a safe creche for emerging sentient species, and to afford themselves a degree of protection from external hostilities by a military alliance. Of the 7 most active milieu members, the most famous race, indeed you know them well, Captain, were the Ur-Quan.
More.
The Ur-Quan evolved on a harsh planet orbiting a star outside this region of space. They were solitary predators, like your praying mantis, Captain, or polar bear, who had a very limited set of social behaviors, most of which dealt with sex. Since they had to compete for survival against many physically superior species, the Ur-Quan evolved intelligence and tool use, in much the same way as your own species. The Ur-Quan also learned to master their fierce territoriality, to build a cooperative planetary culture. When the Ur-Quan were discovered by the Ta'alo, they had just begun exploring their solar system in crude atomic vehicles. Although the Ur-Quan attacked what they thought to be an invader, the Ta'alo were patient. They explained the purpose of the sentient milieu and offered the Ur-Quan membership. The Ur-Quan recognized the benefits that such a system provided, and once more conquered the hunting beast within themselves, to become cooperative, productive members of the milieu. This lasted for several thousands of years.
The Master Trader's depiction of the Ur-Quan matches with what the Korra said the Ur-Quan were like before their integration to the sentient milieu and eventual discovery of the Dinyari. These predators, apex predators, hunter-killers, who, like, even though the Ur-Quan can work together with themselves, they have this constant pulsing, throbbing, screaming in their minds to fuck each other up. The Korra said the Ta'alo were the only race they could ever interact with that didn't trigger those instincts, the hunting beast. Brave folks, really. Give me more.
Just over 20,000 years ago, when your ancestors were learning to chart the course of the moon and stars on animal forms, the sentient milieu spanned 500 light years and included the membership of 100 worlds. Like all other star travelers, they had discovered ruins and relics of a far more ancient culture, which your species calls the precursors. Explorers from many species spent their lives trying to piece together this ancient mystery, but of all races, the Ur-Quan were the most bold adventurers. Their scouts, flying single ships, penetrated far into uncharted space and landed on 1,000,000 worlds. On one such mission, the young Ur-Quan made planetfall on a small, life-bearing alien world to identify some anomalous energy readings, occasionally a sign of precursor installations. Instead, the Ur-Quan found a small, hideous creature, a Denari. Before the scout was able to defend itself, the Denari creature took control of the Ur-Quan's mind and commanded the scout to place the Denari aboard the Ur-Quan's ship, along with hundreds of its evil brood. Then, the Ur-Quan returned to the heart of the milieu, landing on its capital planet. Within hours, every resident of the planet was a Denari slave. Within a month, Denari-compelled starships had spread the evil psychic creatures across the entire milieu.
That timetable there, if accurate across all these thousands of years, alarming to the extreme. How fast. Just, a few hundred creatures worked to topple everyone on a planet, and then across an entire vast federation.
When the Denari took control over the milieu, one race fought back, the Ta'alo. These slow, quiet creatures were silicon-based life forms, but bore little resemblance to the modern Chenjezu. The Ta'alo were natural immunes to the Denari psychic compulsion. They were unaffected by the creatures' power, and the Denari would not permit anyone to exist outside their control. So they ordered the remaining races of the milieu to attack and destroy the Ta'alo home planet. This planet was one of the few milieu worlds located in this region of space. I believe you call their star Delta Vulpeculae. Their home was a moon revolving about the second planet. I am sad to say that the Ta'alo were indeed eliminated. However, at the time of their devastation, they had completed a device which they thought would give the other races psychic immunity like their own. What happened to this device? This shield? It's hard to say. Maybe it was destroyed in the attack on their homeworld. Maybe not.
You'd think that over all those intervening thousands of years, someone at some point would have come to that world with the tools and the means to find the Ta'alo device and load it up. Yeah, the precursor tugboat is immense in size, but surely you don't need a ship that big. Surely the Melnorme could have. Well, I guess it's for the best that they don't have the Ta'alo shield. Then they'd have to win the game. Look at the Master Trader. He ain't winning the fucking game. Hit me again.
In the Denari's new empire, the Ur-Quan were the favored slaves. This is probably because the Ur-Quan were the most psychically sensitive, the most easily compelled. As the centuries of Denari dominance passed, what was once the sentient milieu deteriorated and degenerated into a great galactic gulag. Alien races which did not serve with the efficiency and speed demanded by the Denari were ruthlessly burned from the faces of their worlds. The agents of this genocide were inevitably the Denari's favored pet, the Ur-Quan. After almost 2,500 years of unrelenting Denari control, there were only 4 living member races of the once great sentient milieu. By this point, the Denari had used genetic manipulation to split the Ur-Quan into 2 subspecies, the green Ur-Quan, scientists, technicians, and administrators, who were responsible for maintaining the limited infrastructure of the Denari civilization, and the black Ur-Quan, who filled the ranks of basic laborer and combat soldier. Then, a chance discovery by an Ur-Quan named Ur-Za led to the violent overthrow of the Denari slave empire.
That tracks with the information we've seen in recent episodes. Yeah. Another round in historical info. Encarta Encyclopedia, go.
The Ur-Quan named Ur-Za was a green, a researcher specializing in repairing the mental damage inflicted by long-term exposure to the Denari's psychic compulsion. By this point in history, the Denari had grown lax in their dominance, and on occasion accidentally permitted their slaves moments of self-direction. Ur-Za was able to use these few scattered minutes to compose a theory. From its observations, Ur-Za realized that when a slave died, the Denari disconnected from the slave's mind, lest it too be dragged down to death. Further, the Ur-Quan scientist uncovered the fact that when a slave underwent great pain, the Denari temporarily disconnected, but that the degree of pain had to be extreme, nearly lethal. Ur-Za chose its moment carefully. It waited until it was near an open transmission unit. Then, in a short moment of mental freedom, the Ur-Quan injected itself with a dose of acidic poison, sending incredible waves of pain through its long body. In the few moments before its death, Ur-Za was able to wrest control of the transmitter, to send word of its discovery across the planet and into space as well. Before the Denari knew what was happening, Ur-Quan everywhere were hacking at their own bodies with chunks of glass, burning themselves horribly, doing anything that would give them the few seconds of freedom necessary to find the nearest Denari and crush the bleating creature. As they gained longer and longer periods of control, the Ur-Quan developed new tools and weapons to destroy their evil masters. The most gruesome of these devices was the Excruciator, a mechanism which was inserted directly into the brain and generated a constant stream of agony. The Denari could not bring themselves to make the necessary mental connection with these tortured Ur-Quan. They were slaughtered by the thousands. The Ur-Quan slave revolt was won.
So several thousand years passed, the Denari became lax, complacent. The initial creatures who were so able to overtake an entire planet turned into hedonistic, corpulent, whatever, we got control over all of this. And then suddenly, before these immensely powerful psychic creatures can even begin to fathom what is happening, before they can exert their control over everyone at once again, all of these Ur-Quan are inspired, begin ripping their own selves apart, just so they could have the limited amount of time to find the nearest Denari overseer and crush it. And continue to do that. Developing, as the Korah mentioned, as the Melnorme here also said, the Excruciator that generated so much pain the Denari just couldn't cope with that. So, these tiny creatures, so reliant on their ability to just control everyone around them, crushed.
When the last Ur-Quan was free of psychic compulsion, when the last free Denari was dead, the combined might of the Ur-Quan starfleets met in orbit above the Denari homeworld. They had come together to make two important decisions. First, how to punish the few frightened Denari left below on the planet's surface. Second, how to ensure that never again would the Ur-Quan be made slaves. The first decision was made swiftly. The Denari would not be allowed to die. That was too kind a fate. Instead, the creatures would be genetically modified into sub-sentients. They would become dumb animals. These low creatures will be further debased by serving the Ur-Quan for all eternity in the most demeaning way the Ur-Quan could imagine, acting as translators, making physical contact with other species, whom the Ur-Quan now considered grossly inferior to themselves and revolting. The second decision, how to ensure their freedom permanently, caused great turmoil.
It is possible that the several thousand years living within Denari compulsion and all of the gross injustices committed while under that compulsion may have also caused some Denari's mindsets to rub off on the Ur-Quan, such as, if you're not under our control, you must be exterminated. Disobedience will be punished.
Following the successful Ur-Quan slave revolt, the Ur-Quan met to decide how to ensure their freedom. The green Ur-Quan, who called themselves the Khazur-Za in honor of the Ur-Quan who triggered the revolt, wished to establish the path of now and forever, which required that all other sentient species must become slaves of the Ur-Quan or be forever imprisoned beneath an impenetrable force shield. Leading the opposition to this plan was Kor-Ah, a charismatic fleet officer. Kor-Ah proposed a simpler alternative, the Eternal Doctrine. Simply put, this scheme called for the systematic eradication of all sentient life in the universe, aside from the Ur-Quan. Captain, if these positions seem to you extreme or unwarranted, you must remember that the Ur-Quan had been unwilling slaves for millennia, and that each of them had to remain in agony for years in order to defeat the Denari. The followers of Khazur-Za and Kor-Ah were all on the brink of madness, but neither side would submit, and so they fought a bloody civil war.
You know, there's some reasonable argument for the Korra there, in we can never have problems again if everyone is dead. Now these Denari, we're gonna make them our talking pets. No. They will live as our fallow slaves, cursed to subsentience for all time. Everyone else, though, kill them. Think about that.
This is the last historical item we have for sale. The civil war between the Green Ur-Quan, the followers of Khazur-Za, and their opponents, the death-dealing Kor-Ah, lasted for decades. It is likely that they would have annihilated each other, were it not for a chance discovery by a Khazur-Za, a precursor battleship. The vessel was huge, many times the size of the Ur-Quan's vessels. The precursor ship sliced through the Kor-Ah forces in days. The Kor-Ah were defeated. However, in their victory, the Khazur-Za were humble. They realized that there was a chance that they were wrong, and the Kor-Ah were right. Instead of destroying the Kor-Ah, the Khazur-Za let them go, directing them to make their way through the stars, traveling against the spin of the galaxy. The Khazur-Za would travel in the opposite direction, and when the two Ur-Quan forces met, they would fight again in a ritual combat, with the precursor battleship given to the winner. Captain, this is happening here and now. The Khazur-Za, the Ur-Quan who enslaved Earth, are fighting their ritual battle against the Kor-Ah in a large area centered around the Craterus constellation. If the Kor-Ah win this battle, Captain, the Khazur-Za will stand aside and let them kill us all. We believe It is your destiny to prevent this from happening. We regret to say you have exhausted our supply of genuinely valuable information. However, we do have many thousands of useless facts that we will gladly sell you at a substantial discount. Are you interested? We thought not.
Gotta say, some bullshit for the Melnorme to go, hey, haha! It's your destiny to stop this from happening. Destiny? Really? Yeah! That's why we've been giving you a favorable discount and everything. Jazz hands! Uh-huh. Yeah. Precursor battleship. That's, that seems problematic. Reflecting back on what hit, words mentioned before over the course of the revisit. Air Base Commander's Hayes observations. Jinjetsu the Murmurer. Yeah, okay. Koros seem like they're gonna be winning this war. That could be problematic. The Melnorme helpfully provided a suggestion of when that could occur. More specifics, I will not say. All we can do now at the Melnorme is buy fuel. We have acquired all techs. We've acquired all information. I shall be leaving now.
It has been a pleasure dealing with you, Captain. We look forward to your next visit.
This has been an exciting 41 minutes, everyone. I'm so glad to have spent these all with you. I'm gonna go save the fucking game now and get away from this. Next time, we catch up at Seoul. And, maybe we see about the Zokfop check? Maybe. Have you marked any new homeworlds for us? Yeah. Yeah, we got some. There's Beetlejuice over there, of course. Over here is the homeworld of the Druge. Arcturus is somewhere... Actually, it is right there. All right. I was correct about that. Delightful. To the northwest corner, that's Delta Draconis, that's the Thradash, and the Unga are gonna be in this section. You may recall the SFP's words about some potent and powerful psychic emanation from broadly this cluster. And we'll have to have a peek at some point. Procyon, of course, where the Jinjetsu and Murmur are apparently fusing together, though they'll take too damn long. We also have all other kinds of actionable information. Indeedy. We look at our war era map from 2133. Remember to consult the handout provided in the video description for more delicious and yummy information. Good times. Great fun. But like I said, this episode is at an end. I'm leaving you now. Goodbye.